Hey, what's up guys? Tyler Sassy here, Western Welding Academy. Today we're doing a little 8-inch TIG, and I'm gonna jack one side up real wide. We're gonna slam the other side up real tight. And I'm gonna show you guys how to weld any gap. So out in the field, there's a lot of things that can happen. We're gonna show you today how to make it right when it's not right. All right, so we got some 8-inch 375 wall. This is 8-inch schedule 40. We got a really nice bevel on it. I got an 1/8-inch spacer wire in there. I'm about to tack it up. So I'm gonna tack one side up just with an 1/8-inch ER70S-6 wire. And we're gonna put a pressure feed lay wire on one side, and the other side we're gonna jack it up real bad and show you what to do when it's real bad. Full send. Always light up on the bottom, but then fuse to the top, bevel first. Anytime you're doing lay wire, pressure feed, you want to keep your tungsten and your wire 90 degrees to each other. So look, we got good gap on this side and crappy gap on that side, real wide. You can see really how wide this gap is. So when I light up on this, I'm gonna take my TIG torch, I'm gonna use a freehand method, and I'm gonna daub my rod up and down on top bevel, bottom bevel, top bevel, bottom bevel. That's how I'm gonna fill this in, and I'm gonna put my wire on the inside of the pipe. That way I put the metal on the inside, because we gotta have good full penetration on the inside of the pipe, and the best way to do that is start with the wire being inside the pipe already. Okay, let's go ahead and get it tacked. All right, so you can see the really tight side. And what I'm gonna do when I roll this, I wanna show you the wide side. See the wide side there and how wide that is? That wire just flopping around in there. So this is what you're gonna do when it's real wide on one side, real tight on the other. All right, so check it out. First thing you really need to understand when you're welding pipe, as soon as you start putting metal in that root pass, that metal's gonna draw up. As the root pass material, it starts to cool, it's gonna shrink. So the biggest thing when you're making a weld that has tight side and wide side, you wanna weld the tight side first, because that tight side is only gonna get worse. So if it gets too tight, we gotta get in there and really open it up with a grinder, and it's just a bunch of extra work. So the easiest thing is weld the tight side first. That'll draw up, that'll make the wide side not as bad, make it a little bit easier to weld, okay? Let's get to welding. This is what we call a pressure feed. Quick across the middle, hold the sides. You don't want to get set on that metal too long, otherwise you'll suck the root pass out of the pipe. And you don't want to wiggle your tungsten any wider than the wire. Otherwise you'll for sure suck the reinforcement out of the inside of the pipe. You'll put no metal on the inside of the pipe. Always keep your tungsten and your wire 90 degrees to each other. You get to a tack, we're going to start standing that wire up and pushing just a little bit on that wire. Then we're going to slide back and we're going to run through that tack again. That's going to keep that tack real nice and real smooth. We're going to continue welding using the pressure feed method, the lay wire method, until we get to where the gap is too wide. Then we're going to take the cup off the pipe and we're going to go to what's called a back feed method, where we've got the wire on the inside of the pipe. That's how you weld the tight side, using the lay wire pressure feed method. Now, we're gonna swap over to a back feed method where we don't hold the torch on the pipe. We're gonna hover the torch. We're gonna feed the metal from the inside of the pipe. I like to rest my wire on my next incoming tack. So rest it like that, wire inside the pipe. That's gonna make it much easier to feed the metal on the inside of the pipe. The trick is don't ever pull the wire out of the puddle. You slide your hand around that pipe. If you pull the wire out of the metal, it's going to drip inside there. All right, so that there is the first section of the wide side. We're going to roll this a little bit, give you a little better angle on that camera, and we're going to weld the second section of the wide side. When we're all done, we'll tick the camera and we'll put it down on the inside of the pipe and we'll go over that root pass so you can see how beautiful it looks. All right, so I'm just back feeding here, putting that wire on the inside of the pipe, raising my tungsten from top to the bottom. Big trick here is you just got to be really careful not to pull that wire out of the puddle. If you do, it's going to drip inside the pipe for sure. So I'm going kind of slow. I'm running about 100 amps. And I go ahead and stand back. I go ahead and slide my torch back anytime I need to grab more wire. All right, and that's a recap. That's what you do when you're out in the field and you got a slammed up side on one side and it's wide on the other. The tight side, we just do a lay wire pressure feed, hold the wire, tungsten, 90 degrees to each other, 90 degrees to each other, and we put a little pressure on that wire, real tight wiggles. That's how you weld tight side, okay? Wide side, you put the wire on the inside of the pipe. That's the biggest thing when you're welding real wide gaps, is it's challenging to hold good penetration on the inside of the pipe. But by holding the wire on the inside of the pipe with the backfeed method, it's a lot easier to hold it in there because the metal's already in there to begin with. The other thing is with that freehand torch method, it's very easy to angle that tungsten forward and backwards depending on which angle you need, where you need to put the heat. If it gets a little bit hot, you angle it back and just hold that thing top to bottom, side to side. This method works in any position, 6G, 2G, 5G, it works in any position, and it's a great technique to have in your toolbox. I'm Tyler Sassy here at Western Welding Academy, and I approve this message.